Alright. Microphone looks decently good, kinda, sorta, maybe. Ish. And oops, the camera's at an angle. There we go, that's better. Hello, hello. I am Arrestre Alk, the locomotive Tsukumogami, coming to you, rocking the hand cam and the fingers. Fingers are good, need those. And I just got a warning about my encoding going bad, so let's fiddle with that slightly. Of course, that happens after I start streaming. Uh-oh. Okay, I notched the video bitrate down a little. That ought to help. Hopefully. Keep things a little more stable. So today we're continuing a project that I started back in... Good grief, it must have been July, yeah. Which was building a Shorty layout that's also a BattleTech diorama. Today is going to be all about the BattleTech side of things. We are painting the mechs. Which, you know, kind of important thing to do, right? I should put that palette a little closer to me, maybe. Yeah. Alright. So, I needed more time to prep than I thought I would, so I'm kind of doing things a little last minute here. Let me grab some paintbrushes. Gonna need paintbrushes. It's a little hard to paint without them. I don't have an airbrush, so yeah, practically impossible for me, really. Get a nice big one. And this little number 4. Oh, and I need a little pointy one, too. 10/0 ought to be fine. Maybe another little one. Here's a number 2. Yeah. Uh-oh, you know what I really need is some distilled water to rinse my paintbrushes in. And to quit bumping the camera. Oh, I always forget about that until I sit down to start painting. So I'll be right back. I had my jug of water and my plastic cups at the ready, so that's good. Didn't have to go running around. Now, I think I'll begin with the 3 inner sphere battle mechs. I went and decided to use the Ronin paint scheme for them, which is a pretty simple one. It's some metallic gray, some steel, and some red at about a 50-50 coverage. So we're going to do the whole mech in steel, and then we'll cover about half of that with red. Because the original reason for that color scheme was that the Ronin were Yeah, I'm using Mecha Color Steel. It's good and thin. The Ronin were originally outcasts from the Draconis Combine military. Or maybe outcast is the wrong word. They were left for dead. So they decided to become mercenaries. Stripped all the paint from their mechs, got rid of the Draconis Combine colors, and then realized that they couldn't afford paint. They had about enough red primer on hand to cover half of everybody's mechs, so that's what they did. All the mech warriors got to choose where the red went, and the rest was just bare metal. These days, they have a little more cash, so I imagine they're using metallic paint instead of just leaving the metal bare, because the paint, provides weatherproofing and that sort of thing. But the colors are the same. Oh, focus. Are we going to focus on the model in my hand? Nope. Let's see if I can fiddle with the focus. Do it manually. I have a setting for it, but now I don't see it. There it is. Silly me. It's under the focus options. That's where autofocus is. So let's... There we go. Yeah, that's what Restray likes to see. So, I am using my tried and true dry brushing over black primer process. We're just going to cover the whole thing in steel to start with. We're going to adjust my light a little because I tried to position it to get more light onto the model itself and ended up positioning it so that the camera was casting a shadow on the mech, at least from my point of view, which is not entirely what we want, really. Really, I should get like one of those headband flashlight situations. But, I always forget when I'm at the hobby store to shop for those things. So I have one that has a magnifier on it as well, but the trouble with that is you can't really use the light without the magnifier. And I don't always need or particularly want that, Okay, that's already looking pretty nice, honestly. I like the steel as a color. There we go. That is one metal-looking raven. That part that I missed, or one of the parts that I missed, let's get that little zone taken care of. There we go. This section that I missed on the nose is cockpit glass, so we're actually going to leave that alone. Doesn't really matter one way or the other because I'm going over the glass with a dark gray. Alright. Next we have the Enforcer. Oh, I guess holding it by its head wasn't the best move. There we go. The Enforcer is a hefty medium mech, I believe. First produced for the Star League Defense Force. Then after the Star League collapsed, it became a staple battle mech of the Federated Suns. They also sold these in large quantity to various mercenary outfits, which I imagine is either directly or indirectly how the Ronin would have one. I was going to say how the Locust would have one, but the Locust is not a mercenary outfit, that's a battle mech. I think I need more sleep or something. I'm kind of loopy. A mech can't own another mech. That'd be weird. So, big ol' autocannon on the right arm. Big ol' laser on the left arm. And a little laser in the torso. That's your Enforcer. The exact autocannon and lasers tend to vary. The LBX autocannon is a common replacement for the standard. Class 10, I believe. Which is a pretty solid weapon for a medium mech to have. And that lets it pack a pretty decent punch, especially alongside the laser. A large laser and a Class 10 autocannon can deliver some pretty solid damage. As opposed to the Raven, which is very heavily into electronic warfare. So it's maybe a little undergunned, even for a 35-tonner. Although the Federated Suns captured a lot of Ravens from the Capellans in the 3030s. And since they hadn't yet gotten that Lost Tech electronic warfare gear through their copy of the Helm Memory Core, they pulled out all the E-War stuff and plugged in more weapons, usually. So, Fed Suns Ravens these days are a little hard to come across, but if you can find one, they're not bad hitters. In their weight class, anyway. Looking pretty good, Tsar Enforcer. Yeah. And now we pause to shake up my paint bottle and add a little more to the palette. There we go. 3 drops ought to be enough for the victor. Maybe even too much. The victor was originally a Terran Hegemony battle mech. Even before the Hegemony created the Star League, they had victors. Much like the Enforcer, it went on to become a signature Federated Suns machine. This is an 80-ton assault class battle mech. Just barely in the range to be an assault. Has jump jets. You can see them there. I don't think... Well, the Victor wouldn't have been the first assault mech with jump jets. That was the Highlander. But it was probably pretty close to the first. I don't know of any assault mechs in between the two that had them, but I haven't exactly memorized all of that. I know a lot of lore, I like to think, just floating around in my head, but the release dates of every assault mech with jump jets is a little too much detail for my brain. Just a little. It's a little hard to see what I'm doing when I'm painting the undersides, isn't it? Okay. Some of this. Don't want to forget the bottoms of the feet. Although that's mostly habit. I'm going to be pulling these off the bases to put on the diorama. But I guess just in case the bottoms of the feet are exposed. You know. Okay. Looking pretty good, Victor. Yeah. Rinse out my brush. Always got to keep your brushes nice and clean. And now for the red. Mecha Color SZ Red. Is the mic picking up the bottle shaking? I can't tell if that's making it through the filters. And one more drop, just to be sure. It's okay if I waste a drop or two of paint, I think. I think my finances can withstand the crushing weight of a couple bottles of paint. Now, so half of this is going to be red. I think I'll be a little flexible on how much surface area I consider to be half. Just because, I mean, what am I going to do? Like, calculate the total surface area in millimeters and try to make it exactly half. I mean, I could, I guess, but that'd be very time consuming. So the Raven, we're going to do the torso. Oops, I wiped too much off, I think. If your brush is too dry, it kind of doesn't work. Even for dry brushing. So yeah, we'll do the torso and the arms. And the hip assembly and legs will leave steel. Covering the whole mech in steel first gives the impression or the illusion that the paint is going on top of the bare metal, as the original Ronin did. Which is why I did that, instead of just doing 1/2 red, 1/2 steel. Of course, the illusion only really works if I miss spots, but I'm bound to miss at least a few, like little tiny patches that may even be very hard to see unless you're staring through this camera. Or a magnifying glass or something along those lines. But the illusion will be there, and it will have been achieved quite easily. Now the Raven is pretty much exclusive to the Capellan Confederation these days. But I figure, and I think this is a common thing to figure, you know, battlefield salvage is a thing, and there is something of a secondary market as well. So, you know, a long-standing mercenary command like the Ronin, I could see them either acquiring by either salvage or purchase any number of quote-unquote exclusive battle mechs. I think that's true of a lot of the long-lasting factions. None of them are particularly selective about only using their own products. Although I'm sure clan warriors prefer not to use inferior inner sphere machines. I'm sure they would resent being assigned one. The Ronin don't really have that problem. And you know, the mercenary life is a hard scrabble sort of existence. A lot of the time, you know, not everybody's going to be the Wolf's Dragoons or the Kellhounds and just have a huge formation and massive amounts of money behind them. Yeah, that looks real good. Alright. The Raven is almost done, just needs the cockpit. Now for the Enforcer. What do I want to do with you? I'm thinking arms and head and maybe the back. Yeah. That's the way to do it. draw attention to the most dangerous parts, right? Because I believe, yeah, the Enforcer's got jump jets too. So that makes the back dangerous just because it can jump using those jets. The head is dangerous because that's where the pilot is. And of course the arms are dangerous because that's where the weapons are. Except for that laser in the torso, but I think we'll leave that alone. We can be tricky. Or lazy, however you want to accuse me of being. Okay. A little more on there. Oh, the face needs some. Yeah. Again, I'm not too worried about the cockpit glass. But the metal around it needs its color. You know, for how long it's been around, there's surprisingly few variants of the Enforcer. I went to look it up and I thought there'd be more, but there's only 5 or 6. Granted, most of them have been in service for close to 100 years, so I suppose if the existing designs do what's required of them, you know, there's no need to get upgrade happy. And really, with a straightforward weapon loadout like this, I mean, I guess replace the lasers with extended range lasers, enabled by endo steel chassis, maybe that sort of thing. But you know, mostly lateral moves. Other than that, all depends on, you know, do you want the standard autocannon 10? The LBX, or maybe the Ultra if you're really feeling like squeezing it in there. Tell you what, an Ultra AC-10 on a medium mech would be brutal. I'm sure there's a few that pack those. Although with clan tech you can do a little better, as we'll discuss when I get to the 2 clan machines. Okay, let's survey our progress. Back looks good. Mostly. Couple of spots where I got red that I didn't mean to get it, but that's fine. We'll do a little cleanup. Alright. It's hard to tell if I'm even getting paint into that armpit area there. But whatever. If I can't see whether there's paint in there, neither is anyone looking at the diorama, so it's probably fine. Now for the Victor. Oops. I just whacked the camera. Sorry, camera. So I'm thinking for the Victor, we'll just divide it like straight up in half is what we'll do. just for giggles. Which is going to be a little tough, maybe. I say as I start the line pretty much perfectly. Oh yeah. Uh-oh. I'm gonna need more red than I thought, too. Need to steady my hand very carefully for this part. Okay. Now we've got our red line. Let's turn it into a whole red side. Alright, we need more paint. Just a drop or two will get us through this. Now, okay, so on a note not particularly related to this exact stream, but related to my hand cam streams in general, is that I am in the market for a different camera mounting solution. You know, a tripod maybe. I've got the tripod I have is kind of teeny, which has its advantages, but it does mean that this is basically our only option for a camera angle, and it's not quite ideal. So a taller tripod might be good, or if there's something like those flexible microphone stand dealies where you have the mic over your head. If there's something like that, but for a camera, that would be great. So I'm going to be doing a little shopping after the end of this stream, just to, probably won't buy anything tonight, but just to see what's out there. And look at my options. Because I would like to have a nice overhead view. I think that would be good for these streams, my model train reviews, which I need to do another one of because I enjoy those, but it's been a while. It's been a long while. And any other hand cam content I happen to think of. It would also have the benefit, oops, clumsy restray. It would also have the benefit that the camera isn't between me and the mini that I'm working on, which will be good for all of you out there because the view will be better. And it will be good for me because A, it'll be easier to paint or assemble or whatever else I happen to be doing. And B, it will be easier for me to keep the item in question that I'm painting or assembling on camera. Painting, assembling, reviewing, whatever I end up doing. All those things at some point or another, I imagine. Alright, we have our half and half victor, just about. I noticed a little spot there that I missed. Did I miss anywhere else? Top of the head could do with some work. I just noticed I'm making kind of a whistling sound as I talk. I don't know what that's about. I guess my teeth just don't feel like cooperating. That's weird. Usually my teeth are quite helpful. And I mean, it's not like they move very much, except along with my jaw, as you might imagine. So I'm not sure how they're misbehaving. I don't know. Maybe I'm just weird. All right. The line does extend slightly past the halfway point by like a millimeter. But this arm has less surface area, so I think we can call it close enough either way. And not drive Restray insane by trying to divide that intersection in half, because that is teeny tiny. Now, clean this brush. I'm going to leave the canopies until after I've done the other two mechs, because I'm doing all those canopies the same color, so they might as well have words. They might as well get done all at once. What is that squeak about? Okay. For the clan side, I've decided to go with the Aliena Mercantile League's Mercantile Militia. Mostly because they don't have a standard color scheme. They use camouflage as appropriate, but add some blue highlights. So this gives me an opportunity to explore urban combat camouflage. So we're going to have some blue-gray situations, and some just gray situations, and a little bit of just plain blue. So, let's see. The main bodies, the main color, I mean, is going to be a little bit of Vallejo Sky Gray. Well, I say a little bit. It's going to be mostly Vallejo Sky Gray. This is their model color. One of the few paints other than Mecha color that I'm using. And the sky blue is what there'll be a little bit of. This is going to be a 4-to-1 ratio of sky gray to sky blue. There we go. And as with the Ronin, I'm going to cover the whole battle mech. And then we'll add the darker colors. Give that a mix. And that is a nice gray with just a little tint of blue that's being washed out by the lights right now. Now, we'll start with the Hunchback 2C. I'm not sure exactly the evolutionary path of redesigns using clan technology that led to the venerable Hunchback evolving to the 2C version in the clans. But what I am sure of is that that's a pair of Ultra Autocannon Class 20s. Those are big guns, my friends. The range is maybe a little shorter than you would want on your medium battle mech. Certainly as almost your only weapons, I believe. Yeah, there's small lasers in the torso there. But yeah. So, and their armor is not great. For a medium. I think they only have like 3 tons of armor, in fact. It's quite a soft little mech. So the Hunchback 2C is a more extreme form of its inner sphere progenitor, in that it hits like a truck, but it doesn't want to take return fire. That said, it does have some jump jets in the leggies. So it's a fairly maneuverable machine. I believe it's a little slower than clan warriors usually like their medium mechs to be, which combined with the range issue on those AC-20s is, a problem and a half. I'm going off camera here. I need to pay better attention to that. But it's a brutal machine, usually used for garrison work and, other second line combat. So you see a lot of freeborns with it and a lot of Solama troops. I believe, and I could be wrong on this because I don't have a citation straight off the top of my head, I believe the Hunchback 2C is quite popular among the Solama, because, for those of you who don't know, Solama are clan troops who, according to the incredibly ageist social structure of the clans, are too old for frontline combat, so they're used for garrison duty and other low priority tasks, and they want to die in battle before they're too old to fight for their clan anymore, because that's, to a clan warrior, getting too old to fight is the worst fate possible, because combat is the only way they know how to serve their clan. And if they can't engage in combat, well, what good are they anymore? That's the typical reasoning anyway. So the Solama want to go down fighting, but they're not just going to stand there and let the enemy shoot at them, because there's no honor or pride in that. Oh no. They're going to fight as hard as they can. I believe during my last video, or my last stream, I said that they're going to go down fighting, but they're going to take the enemy with them. As many hostiles as they can. So, I mean, I have to assume the Hunchback 2C would be very attracted to such soldiers, because surely it's going to go down. You've got a battle mech with 2 AC-20s. You don't want to just let that walk. If it's an enemy machine. So the Hunchback 2C is going to go down, but boy, is it going to deal a lot of damage before it does. Speaking of dealing a lot of damage, it's time for the Stone Rhino. One of my favorite battle mechs, honestly. Just look at this brute. It's huge, it's beastly. It also has jump jets. I think the Raven is the only mech here that doesn't have jump jets. This is an absolute monster. It's no wonder the Inner Sphere reporting name for the Stone Rhino is Behemoth. That's what they called it when they didn't know what the clans called it, and boy does it fit. absolutely monstrous. Gauss rifles in the arms, extended range large lasers on the back, small laser under the cockpit, teeny little thing there. Mostly used for anti-infantry, I believe. Probably why they put it on there anyway. Or they just had a half-ton left over and said, why not? Which is a common reason for adding a small laser to a battle mech, must be admitted. No matter what the advertisers tell you, when they're trying to offload a second-hand battle mech on you, the small laser is probably there because the designers didn't know what else to do with that half-ton. Now, like the Hunchback 2C, the Stone Rhino is a standard battle mech and primarily used for garrison forces, which is why it's as slow as mud. Because you don't need to be fast when the enemy needs to come to you. Especially with the kind of ranges that this beast can deal its damage at. Of course, the two large lasers make it relatively independent of supply lines. Naturally, when it runs out of Gauss rifle ammo, that is a significant drop in its firepower. But it's not helpless. It can still tear off some pretty decent chunks of armor. And speaking of armor, it's got 19.5 tons of standard armor. So it is rock solid, as well as being brutal. Unlike its little friend, the Hunchback, the Stone Rhino can definitely take a hit. Although, funnily enough, I believe its damage output is significantly less than the Hunchback 2Cs, because it doesn't have ultra autocannons, and those things, especially the AC-20s, are devastating when they catch you. Just because of the sheer rate at which those shells are coming out of the cannon. Not to say that Stone Rhino is weak or anything. I certainly wouldn't want to fight one. It's just, you know, the survivability of the Stone Rhino, I suspect, makes it a little less popular with Solama. Because, I mean, if your goal is to go down fighting, you want a battle mech that will eventually go down. I assume. Oops. Got some paint on the cutting mat. Clumsy, clumsy. Am I a little too hard on myself? Maybe I am. Whatever. We will psychoanalyze myself off stream. Because, I mean, really, I should probably talk to a professional. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. You know, I grew up in a generation that, well, not a generation, but a subset of a generation that still kind of looked down on the idea of mental health problems just because of where I was raised and, you know, who I grew up among. And, you know, my parents had a lot to do with it too. So it was longer than it should have been before I really came to consider the fact that some of the thought processes I were having weren't what you would call healthy. And, you know, so I spoke to some professionals. It's something that I'm trying to be more open about, in part because I don't want other people to feel like I did. Like they just couldn't or shouldn't see a professional for psychological problems. Or that, you know, the whole mental health support structure is some kind of scheme to make us weaker or less ourselves or some such nonsense. Because, I mean, having parents that felt that way certainly didn't make my youth easy. Geez, that got heavy all of a sudden, didn't it? Wowzers. Putting my finger on the paint. Oh, well, it's already dry. Such is the power of dry brushing. Haha. Mm-hmm. Oh, almost missed the inside of that leg. I mean, I guess I could have just done it in one of the other colors and tried to blend it in a little, but yeah. Okay. Hmm. That little spot. Ah. I need a cough button. That little spot. There we go. Okay, that'll do. That'll do. Okay, brush is good and rinsed. Running out of real estate on my paper towel here. Now then, for our next set of panels, or next set of sections, Phantom Gray. Also from the Mecha Color line. I picked up a bunch of these when they first came out, and I've been quite happy with them, all told. Now then, how do we want to divide up our hunchback? Urban camo is a bit of an unusual pattern. You have your main color, and then you have sort of squares and rectangles of other colors painted over it. I'm going to be taking liberties with the concept, but I think overall it'll look not half bad. Although I think I'm going to need another layer of Phantom Gray over that. It's a little more visible without the light washing it out so much. Or the camera, I should say. Yeah, actually, if I do turn this light off. Yeah, that's much more visible now. Okay. Good, good, good. There we go. Our sections shouldn't all be exactly matching to the panel shapes. So yeah, some of these are going to be at funny angles. In fact, most of them. Square tipped brushes are great for urban camo. They make it pretty easy, relatively speaking. Although my technique in general isn't that good for urban camouflage. It's not something that I do very much. And really, it can look quite good, so I feel like I should do more of it. But, you know, it's also a bit challenging in some ways. And I'm a lazy bum when it comes to painting. Okay, we don't want to cover too much with Phantom Gray because we are coming back with a darker color later, but I think a section on the back would be good. Yeah, just like that. Just like that. All right. Now for our friend the Stone Rhino. You've got lots of real estate to cover, Stone Rhino. Much more than your friend over there. So we'll just do some odd angles. Ooh, I should do the gun barrels. Let's do something. You know what? Let's do. We'll go for a little bit of the old fashionable asymmetry. Ostensibly, the idea of urban camouflage is to break up the silhouette and help them blend in an urban environment, but I mean, the way the Stone Rhino is going to trip every single sensor on every single battle mech, I don't think blending in is really a high priority. Is those guided weapons, the targeting assistance functionality of your average battle mech or tank, or even battle armor, is not going to be at all bothered by the stone rhinos. Camouflage, whatever it may be. Not even slightly concerned. All right, looking good there. And then over here. So yeah, they can be a little flexible with how they apply the concept to this monstrosity. Oh, a little close to the camera there. And I need another couple drops of paint. I'm always underestimating how much I need. Drop. Okay. We're just doing some patches on the legs now, so that ought to be enough. Yeah? Yes, no, maybe? Let's do this. Oop, that didn't quite go how I wanted. Okay. Good enough. Good enough. And then over here we'll do a square type situation like that. Back of the leg. Yeah, the camera is washing that out a little. Back of the torso. Should do something with the feet, I suppose. Yeah. Maybe, yeah, up there. And the toesies. All right, that's that for you. Now, we will apply the darkest gray, which is also the gray that I'm going to be using for the cockpit canopies. So we'll be applying that with a couple different brushes. Let me flip my paper towel around a little here. Get a fresh side. Okay. We have our other non-mecha color, Vallejo's German Gray. Yeah, 7 drops. Hopefully that will be enough. We're going to start with the cockpits, which we will apply with a pointy brush. Everyone likes a pointy brush. We'll also be using it on the openings for the weapons. We'll poke there, there, there. SRM 6 rack. Okay. Raise my hand a little. Keep it nice and steady. All right. There we go. Raven's done. Now for the Enforcer. I'm going to have to go back over you, I think. Now I'm not seeing the spots that I thought I got red and didn't mean to. Oh, wait, there. Yeah, okay. Alright, let's see. Laser barrel. Laser barrel. Autocannon barrel. Alright. It's a little hard to see the difference, but it adds a little consistency, if nothing else. Now, your cockpit glass is in 3 sections. There we go. Now for our friend the Victor. Victor has these different jump jets that look like rockets instead of little ventilator type situations. So we'll do the interiors of those. Not that you can see because the base is in the way. Big gun. I think that's a Gauss rifle. Certainly on some models anyway. I'm sure on others it's probably an AC-20 in there. SRM 4. Or when people get real close and you want to let them know about your personal space. And the lasers. I forgot which kind. Now, Victor has these 2 eye sections, and I believe this middle section is also cockpit. I could be wrong, but I'm going to assume that it is, because otherwise it'd be a hassle. Have a big chunk of metal literally in the middle of your field of view? No, thank you. No, thank you. 0% gratitude for that. Okay, Hunchback 2C. Ultra autocannons have 3 barrels in them. And canopy is just one big section here. All right. Now the stone rhino. This section here looks like it's a canopy, maybe a huge canopy, but no. That would be a little too big. Here we go. That's where the cockpit is. Still a bit of a large target, maybe, but you do need a good field of vision when you're stomping around in something this massive. And of course the weapon barrels. Chin gun, Gauss rifle, laser, laser. Okay. That brush is nice and clean now. Now for the final bit of urban camouflage. I'm just gonna pick spots pretty much at random like I did with the other gray. And just slap a little paint on there and a bit of a rectangle. Or a square in that case. Sometimes they'll overlap because you want that with your urban camouflage. Like this. But then other times they won't. Like that. Yeah, I'll do a chunk across the chest here. Into the shoulder. And of course the guns need a little attention as well. Can't not camouflage the guns, right? Those are the important things to hide. If you're gonna hide at all. Oops, I didn't do the casing apertures on the AC-20s. Honestly, they're so big, I could just do this. Which reminds me, there's probably one of those on the Enforcer that I forgot about as well. All right. Do the arms. A little bit on each arm. Oh, let's do the hand. Yeah. Just to look fancy like. Okay. I've certainly done worse paint jobs. There we go. Let's check the Enforcer real quick. Oh, yeah, there's a spot for ejecting shells. Fortunately, that's nice and big, too. Okay. Does the Victor have one? Doesn't seem to, unless that... No, that's a panel. Okay, good. Stone Rhino time. You beautiful beastie. Let's carve out like this. Yeah. All right, that looks real good already. We'll do a rectangle over here that kind of loops around. That ended up being that whole section, didn't it? Oh well. It's fine. It's fine. I mean, like I say, camouflage is more about tradition than anything else with a mech like this. Oh, I didn't put any uh, phantom gray on the underside. Well, that's fine. That too is fine. There we are. Maybe I'll come back with the phantom gray. Nah. No one's going to look at the underside anyway, so, you know, I can play a little fast and loose with it. But let's do the leggies. Leggies. Very important. All battle mechs need legs. That is a science fact. You can take that to the bank of your choice. Although if you're banking with Comstar, maybe switch. They're falling apart. Oh boy. Rom's gonna come after me for saying that. Oh wait, they're falling apart too. Rom is not immune to Comstar's budget problems. And boy do they have budget problems. With the HPGs gone, their main financial resource is gone. Well, I say gone. The HPGs are still there. They just don't work anymore. They've been silenced by the blackout. But that's a whole big lore dump for another day. I've been thinking about doing BattleTech lore videos. Although, that's kind of well-trod ground. I'm not sure I could add anything that isn't already being done by other people in the community. But I don't know. I feel like without naming names, some of the luminaries in the BattleTech lore video field may have some bias for or against certain factions. That, I mean, I get it. We all have our favorite factions. I certainly have my favorite factions. But I feel like, you know, lore needs to be presented with some objectivity. So maybe it'd be good to set those faction biases aside. And I think I could probably do that at least a little better than some of the people out there. Again, not going to name names, because, you know, that would just be weird of me. But if you do happen to watch BattleTech lore videos, you might know, or at least have a decent guess about some of the people I might be referring to. But that's as far as I'm going to go, because, yeah. There's no need to be a weird drama queen about it, right? I mean, I'm not even a queen, so I'm not really qualified to be a drama queen. I'm intruding on other people's territory just by attempting. Okay. now that I'm done being weird, let's finish off my Aliena Mercantile League militia. As I mentioned at the start, they highlight some of their panels in blue, no matter what their camouflage currently is. I don't know what blue they use, so I will be applying Titan Blue, which is... I have a number of blue paints, probably an unreasonable number, but Titan Blue is my favorite. It is a beautiful shade that I just love. So, we're going to highlight panels. And we'll do that. We'll let the Stone Rhino sit for a little longer, regardless of the already applied camouflage pattern. Because I feel like it. They're my battle mechs, I'll do what I want. Yeah, do the head. And I think these rectangular panels on the lower arms would be good. Ah, yes. Very nice, very nice. That's such a good blue. I love it. I love it. Not even joking. Definitely my favorite blue. Probably one of my favorite paints overall, honestly. Now, we don't want to overdo it. Because if you highlight too much of a mech, is it even a highlight anymore? But I'm thinking, let's extend it from the head to the forward sections of the autocannons. Yeah. Loop all the way around? Yes. Oh, yeah. We are making a beautiful battle mech. Perfect. Now for the Stone Rhino to finish us off. These panels back here definitely get it. Oh, yes. Very good. Very good. I'll do it on both of them. Love a Stone Rhino. Love Titan Blue paint. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, now this section right behind the canopy that looks kind of like a canopy. Let's do that. Hope all these weird noises that I'm making as I concentrate don't pick up on the mic. But I guess it's a little late now, isn't it? Let's yeah. Little bit of blending there. All right, now I suppose Do I want to do the shoulders or a section of the arms? Hmm. Actually, I think that might be enough. Just a little understated. Titan blue. Yeah, that's enough. Don't want to go overboard. Tempting as it is. Alright, let's switch this light off so they're not so washed out. And I'll give you a good look at all these. The Raven. 35-ton reconnaissance battle mech. A Zoomy Boy in general. And oops, I missed the inside of that leg, didn't I? Okay. I missed the whole darn inside of that leg. Alright. We, yeah, may as well look for things I need to fix while we're eyeballing my paintwork. The, Enforcer, which I don't think I missed any patches on. Not anything big, anyway. Enforcers are 45 tons? 50 tons? I forget. And yeah, there's that little bit of red where I wanted it to be steel. So we're gonna have to get the steel paint out again. Anyway, the Victor. 80 tons of just barely assault class brutality. This is a design, as I said, it predated the Star League. It was made for the Terran hegemony. And even now in the Ilclan era, it's still in active production. So, if nothing else, the Victor has withstood the test of time. And honestly, you can't say fairer than that. This is a venerable design. Hunchback 2C. Not my best application of urban camouflage, but I think it looks okay. And it does certainly have a bit of an improvised look for it, which I imagine the mercantile militia might have going on with a lot of their mechs. Because after all, they are the small handful of warriors who stayed in the Aliena Mercantile League instead of going with G.E. Kistu and his Jade Falcons when they had the chance. The Stone Rhino, a beautiful battle mech, and I think I did pretty good on it. Maybe I could have done better, but I think this is very good. If I say so myself. Alright, so I guess we'll clean up those little patches. And then we can call it a day. A couple drops ought to be enough steel. We'll use this little brush. Turn the light back on so I can see what I'm doing. Yeah, just a little there. And then the Raven's leg. Huh, maybe I only needed 1 drop of steel. Oh well. The underside of that leg I think I missed too. Hard to see. Well. Alright, that's better. That's better. And we have 5 fully painted battle mechs ready for the diorama. Which I guess I have to work on that now. I need to build the terrain a little. Let's take control of the focus again. Bingo. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, next I have to build out the hill, which I'm going to do with papier-mâché, I think. I don't know if I'll stream that. That would probably be a really dull stream. Just me slapping papier-mâché onto a cardboard frame. I mean, yeah, that wouldn't fly, I don't think. And I don't know how long it'll take. But then I can do the sand, the gravel, and the flock. And I guess, well, I'll put the mechs on before I do that because they're going to be probably sinking into the ground a little with their weight. And of course the trees, going to have some trees on there. So that'll be the next stream, is putting on the mechs and the landscaping. Next stream in this series, anyway. I'm gonna do something else this week, but I actually am not entirely sure what. I haven't made up my mind yet. But once I do, I will make the thumbnail and schedule the stream out. Until then, this has been Restre Alk, and I thank you for watching. Now, where's my mouse so I can... There it is. Okay. I'll catch you later, everybody.